Wrestling Sheet Radio. I'm your host, ProWrestlingSheet.com, Editor-in-Chief Ryan Satin. I'm here with my co-host, Jamie Iovine.
Hey, everybody.
And Elijah Bates.
Hey-o.
We're all back together here. It feels good. We had it last week off.
Yeah.
We weren't all together last week. Jamie and I saw each other briefly in Chicago.
Okay.
That was 4 or 5 hours.
Very briefly in Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah, I had some travel issues, and I wasn't able to make most of my StarCast time, unfortunately. But as you know, travel issues do happen.
Inside line for those of you who have listened to the Greatest Trivia Rumble. If those of you haven't, it's in the iTunes feed, in our podcast one feed, our iTunes feed. Check it out there. It's myself, it's Mario DeRosa, Blue Meanie, James Storm, James McKenna. We're playing a fun little trivia game. I think you guys will enjoy it. But people seem to like it. The people that who have listened to it did seem to like it. And I think I might be doing one again in the Los Angeles area for Survivor Series weekend.
Yeah, because, whoever won that, there's an asterisk there because he's not really the champion. I mean, this is more so. This is like because it wasn't really a competition.
Did you listen?
I wasn't there.
No, I agree. It's kind of like
Well,
it's not like a tournament. It's only it's just that one match. So yes, James did win that one match.
I would have won.
Well,
you might have.
I would have won.
It's a lot like whenever John Cena beat Rey Mysterio for the vacated WWE title when CM Punk left.
It's exactly.
I remember watching that and being like, this doesn't hold any water.
Yeah, James, you hearing me?
No. It's just like the opening match. Don't worry. Once we start doing. Once I'm able to start doing more of these
I'm going to show up at the next one with super jacked in a tank top with a receding hairline, and I'm going to fuck everything up. Get everybody excited.
Yeah, I'm going to...
You probably won't be... Only one of you are going to be invited to this one.
Why?
As a contestant. Because I'm going to have... I can only do
You're
one...
not allowed.
No, because I'm going to follow a formula.
How about we have a trivia off?
No, I'm going to... Ooh, we could do that.
Can't even be there.
We could make it a segment on the show where you guys go against each other
to
see who gets
Let's
the spot.
get Kevin in on it, too.
Well, because I think I'm going to follow a similar formula of the contestants, where it's going to be me hosting, one member of the Wrestling Sheet crew, whether it's you, Jamie, Kevin, James, whoever, someone who works, someone involved Wrestling Sheet, a wrestler, a wrestler, possibly two wrestlers, preferably, and then a comedian.
Okay.
I like having a comedian there to keep it funny.
I feel like I could fill all three of those roles.
You think you can follow? You're not a wrestler.
I aspired to be one, and I was on the wrestling team.
What was your wrestling? It's been so long. Wait, don't tell me. Wait.
Yeah, come on. You got this. You got this, old boy.
It's like a swamp related. It's swamp. I know. I knew that. I know that more than I know than the actual.
Remember, he brings an alligator to the ring.
What's his name? Just tell me.
He's Creole. He can use voodoo.
No, I literally.
He's like a mixture of Papa Shango and Crocodile Dundee.
I literally remember every...
His name is Bayou.
Bayou
I said
Baines.
swamp. Bayou, that's what it is.
This is a knife, by the way.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah. But he doesn't
Are you
look
shaving?
I've never really understood the hand movement that Bayou has.
Pretend this is a knife.
Shaving still.
Why would you be shaving?
He's not shaving. It's
You
a
ever
knife.
see any Crocodile Dundee movies? He shaves with his knife.
No, he's like rubbing a knife against his face.
I like my answer
I don't know
better.
why he's rubbing the knife against his face. I don't need to answer these accusations.
He's from the Bayou. That's why, for God's sake.
He does voodoo.
Things are different there.
He's Crocodile Dundee mixed with Papa Shango. That's final.
Okay, something else that's final. Daniel Bryan's new WWE contract. Daniel Bryan is staying with WWE.
Multi-year. That's more than one, right?
That's more than one.
Are you shocked about this?
Not really.
Turn events?
To be completely honest with you, I know that the Twitter fans, the wrestling fans on Twitter were obviously, and just the indie wrestling crowd was really hoping that maybe the American Dragon Bryan Danielson would return. But at the end of the day, look, Daniel Bryan wants to prolong his career as long as possible.
Yeah, and I feel like anybody who thought that wasn't going to happen was living in a fantasy world.
Yeah, and I think the only reason why any of that talk was even happening was because he still wanted to wrestle.
Yeah.
And now that he can, and eventually, I still think the jury's out of whether or not how they use him or not. I think they're doing the slow burn in terms of having him be like back in the title picture. I think it's smart not throwing him back in there right away. I mean, he's losing a little more than I would like him to lose lately. But that's a whole other tangent that I'm going to go off on about Andrade Almas. But
you're not. Well, yeah, we talked on the recap, but you're not a fan that having him lose already so quickly.
But the way that Andrade has been used in the product right now, the main roster, hasn't been one that's focused on him. He's a prop. He's a prop to tell the story with Miz and Daniel Bryan, which is fine. That serves as another person for Daniel Bryan to fight before the Miz and Daniel Bryan 2 at WrestleMania probably. And it's just, it's another one of those things that you can't judge success or how successful somebody could be on NXT just by gauging the reaction online or just from the NXT audience.
Well, that's definitely true. But one thing I do feel like when it comes to the Andrade, Miz, Daniel Bryan stuff is, yes, obviously, if in a perfect world, Andrade would be winning matches, right? Getting a push when he got called up or whatever.
He beat Sin Cara. It's like, okay, but when is the last time Sin Cara been on television?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Sin Cara got beat by the mat outside the ring one time.
Well, that's what I was going to say. As much as I'm not stoked about the fact that he's maybe not getting this big push after considering he's a former NXT champion or whatever. You see Drew McIntyre is the opposite. He's main eventing Raw now, and then the other NXT champion of recent memory.
But even Drew, they're not even really doing that.
But he's main eventing Raw weekly almost.
As Dolph Ziggler's
but he's still main eventing Raw weekly. He's doing stuff against
great TV spots. Don't get me wrong.
He's getting a really big push.
He probably will become on his own. He probably will become the star that we all want him to be. He's everything Vince wants right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'd put the belt on him if I was.
He seems like a perfect middle ground between what Vince wants and what Hunter wants, too.
Yes, absolutely. But what I was going to say is, at least with Andrade, at least it's being used. I like that it's better than what they were doing with him before, which was fucking nothing. Yeah. At least he's being involved with two really good wrestlers that are entertaining people.
Before they brought them back over the last couple of weeks, it's like the Authors of Pain debuted and then just disappeared.
I mean, the only recent call up is with the most recent superstar shakeup. I mean, let's list them: Ember Moon, Authors of Pain, No Way Jose, and Andrade.
Was it anybody else?
Sounds right.
How long
Sanity.
Sanity.
How long has Ember Moon been on main roster?
It wasn't the recent one. She's been longer.
Which is even crazier. Like the fact that this girl has been on the roster for almost 2 years and has done
it's been
nothing.
like a year now. It's been a year now, I think.
Whatever it is.
That's still baffling.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. We talked about it on the Raw recap too, which you guys can check out. If you are watching the YouTube channel, you can check out in the feed of different Wrestling Sheet Radio stuff. But we were talking about the Authors of Pain stuff too, and the Drake Maverick thing. It was so dumb having him in the same outfit as them.
What the hell? Imagine if Paul Bearer wore a trench coat and a hat. That doesn't make any sense.
I would have bought it a little bit with Paul Bearer though too. It'd be like
he's not the duster old West mortuary Undertaker dude. But the reason I brought all those up is the only one that's really been doing anything of note lately is Drew McIntyre, and I only think that's because Vince remembers him.
Yeah.
That's totally you're 100%. Hey, wait a second. That guy I said was going to be the future. It's the future now.
I'm not a liar, damn it. I just didn't say when.
No one said how long the future was going to be.
The future hasn't been written yet. Haven't you seen Back to the Future 3?
We have a guy here in the office named Dorian. And he has...
Is his nickname DeLorean? Dorian DeLorean?
No, but he's apparently he hasn't seen a lot of classic movies that you would think everyone has seen.
Yeah.
And so on Collider Live, which is in the Collider YouTube channel, they do it weekly here. It's Monday through Wednesday every week here, and it got brought up that there's so many movies he hasn't seen,
and he works here, which is crazy.
I know. Well, he's very up to date on lots of things. Yeah. Like older movies are really his thing, especially it seemed it's just older stuff, you know. I mean, I get it. I was the same way for a long time. I missed out on a lot of classic movies.
I hadn't seen Princess Bride until last year. To be
really?
Honest with you. Yeah. Just
wow. And that's Andre the Giant in that.
Hey, and I hadn't seen Mary Poppins until I was 30.
Wow. Crazy.
We were a Bed Knobs and Broomsticks family. I don't know what to tell you.
I hadn't seen.
Yeah, that does make sense. Bed Knobs. I didn't see that, and I loved Mary Poppins. I think you had one live action classic Disney movie as a child.
Yeah, I hadn't seen Godfather until I got older, and then I saw all those. No wonder everyone.
And nobody saw Chitty Chitty Boom Boom,
Bang Bang,
or Bang Bang. Whatever.
I still haven't seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, to be honest.
Or
with you.
Boom Boom.
I bet Chitty Chitty Boom Boom.
But wait. The reason I brought that up is because he hadn't seen Back to the Future.
1, 2, or 3? Or
any of them.
Okay.
I was when I was in Chicago this weekend. I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw him post a picture of himself watching Back to the Future 1. Like, all right, let's do this. And I was like, oh man,
I've seen it so many times.
That's why I've seen it so many. I've been on the ride. Like,
it's literally the perfect movie.
I know, that's why when I saw
your cousin
he as an
Marvin
adult,
Berry,
that he as an adult was getting to see this for the first. I was like, man, like I was sad that that it's been this long since he's experienced it, but I was so happy that he finally was.
Did he enjoy it?
Oh, he loved it.
Okay,
he told me he loved it. It was so good.
Are you telling me it's 8:25?
He saw one
precisely.
Yeah, precisely. Damn, I'm late for school.
He saw 1 and 2, and then he said he started part 3, but kind of like fell off a little bit.
I gotta be. First time I ever got a car that can the sunroof could open. First time I got a car they do that, I blasted Power of Love driving around Sunset.
Yeah.
Don't need money.
You like part 3?
I love part 3.
I like them all.
Part 3.
I love them all.
Do you love part 3?
I love them all.
Erica, my girlfriend, for those of you who aren't aware, maybe newer listener, she likes 3 the most out of all the movies.
1 is the best, but 3 is my personal favorite.
More than 2?
It's just because
how are you gonna diss 2 like that?
Well, because 2 hasn't held up as much to me over the test of time.
Because of the future stuff?
No,
I don't agree to this, but an argument some people have made about Back to the Future 2 is that the first half is the second half is literally just the first movie.
But that's the fun of the movie.
I think that they're all extraordinarily well done. However, on a personal level, I appreciate 3rd the most because I recall going to the video store and renting it the most. It was I had taped Back to the Future 1 off of TV, so I only had the edited version. I watched it a billion times. I was obsessed with time travel. But Back to the Future 3, I think it was that scene at the end whenever the sheriff pulls Biff Tannen out of the manure, and Biff spits the manure out of his mouth. There were multiple elements of it, and I I was, I'm pretty sure that I was a gunman in the Wild West in a different life.
I can see that,
and so there's just part of me when I see Old West stuff, I'm like, yeah, that's for me.
All right, fair enough. Yeah,
I do like the fact that Robert Zemeckis, in the DVD features, he's just like, why did you want to make this in the West? He's like, I just really want to make a cowboy movie. Yeah, he really said that.
Yeah. I lost track of what I was going to say right there, but yeah,
wrestling.
Did it have something to do with wrestling? Because this whole conversation.
Yeah, we should go back to wrestling. Good
back
call.
to Daniel Bryan.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. No, Dorian. Last thing I'll say about Back to the Future is when I was having this conversation with Dorian, I said, "Oh man, I missed the ride." He was like, "Wait." There was a Back to the Future ride, and I was like, "Oh, man, you've missed out on too much."
And he'll never see it.
I know.
If he doesn't know about that, then he doesn't know about the ET ride either.
They'll never get that either.
Okay.
Unless he goes anyway.
Yeah. We should get back on track here a little bit. But
ET
Daniel
ride
Bryan, I think that yes, you said that everyone should have seen this coming.
Yeah.
With Total Bellas, Total Divas, the fact that the money he's going to make. The money he's going to make. And we should be happy. You'd be shocked at how many.
Isn't?
You'd be shocked, and I know. Look, honestly, after this weekend, I've gotten a lot better at realizing that social media is just negative for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely,
largely negative.
Of course.
That only the people who are angry talk about it. But I did see a lot of anger on social media over this, of people being like, "Whoa, we should have gone back to the Indies," and it's like, I get it. But also at the same time, I want to see Daniel Bryan around forever.
And I'm sorry,
we already almost lost him once.
When you lose 2 or 3 zeros at the end of that check, when you start getting indie paychecks, it's
granted. I mean, there are people on the Indies now that are making money.
Yeah,
there's the Chris Jerichos, there's the Rey Mysterios,
yes, of course, but
the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega.
Okay, hold on.
They're independent contractors on a real level.
On a real level, yes, but still, yes, Kenny and the Bucks, as we all know, are a very special case. Mm-hmm. They're a very special case. They've put in years and years and years and years of being consistent on the Indies. You could argue that the Bucks' time as the Impact players interrupted that a little bit, but by and large, they've been indie guys forever.
Yeah,
and that's who they are. Daniel Bryan hasn't been an indie guy for almost 10 years now.
Yeah, or maybe
longer than that, right?
Yeah, I think it's around 10 years.
Wait, I'm going to look it up
because he started in NXT, the original iteration of NXT at I believe it was the beginning.
Right?
No, I think it was the beginning of 2009 when that began, which leads me to believe that he was likely in FCW at the end of 2008. That's what I'm going to put out there.
I'm pulling this up. Okay,
Sure,
wait.
go for it.
So
No, actually, wait. No, I could be wrong. I could have the years mixed up by one, but I believe that NXT season 1, for some reason, I'm feeling like that was. Shoot, that might have been 2008.
But I'm just also curious.
wait. What's your final answer?
My final answer is that NXT season 1
It was 2008.
began in 2009.
You went the wrong way. It was 2010. Instead of
Really?
one lower, it was one higher. It was 2010, February 23rd.
So it hasn't been a
Bryan made his
decade yet.
debut on the inaugural episode of NXT on February 23rd, 2010.
So it hasn't been a decade yet, but it's been close to a decade.
Close.
I can see where I went wrong.
And I just, and you know, it.
I can see where I went wrong.
I remember.
If Daniel Bryan had this happen to him before the whole thing with WrestleMania 30, before his retirement and when he came back, before this whole thing with Brie and Total Divas and stuff.
You're stepping into a serious time machine. You're Back to the Future in this scenario.
Yes, if that had all, if this had
Precisely.
happened before that, then you could argue that Daniel Bryan is part of the machine now, and not only that, his family is.
That's the thing to me too. Is that like at the end of the day, if Daniel Bryan had done that, he would have fucked his whole family. Like,
Yeah.
he literally would have fucked his whole family.
Nobody's home.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
no, but like his Bree's always on either on the West Coast or in Stamford filming stuff, and Daniel's wherever in Hoboken, some like doing some indie show for 300 people.
Why would people think ever that he would go back on the indies?
Well, I think it was less the indies and more. I know that he has goals of things he wants to do that he has openly talked about.
Sure.
Where he wants to wrestle a hair match in Mexico. He wants to wrestle the G1. Like these are his personal goals, less financially related and more personally related.
Yeah, sure, I get
Because Daniel
that.
has done multiple interviews where he has talked about the fact that he has like no ambition, that he has zero ambition, that it's not that he doesn't care about money, that he literally just he has these wrestling goals that he wants to accomplish. So I think that's the main reason why is that people are like.
But all those interviews,
You're gonna wrestle the Bludgeon Brothers
Hey,
again. You're gonna wrestling No Way Jose is still. What the hell?
Yeah. Oh, you're going to be wrestling AJ Styles. You're going to be wrestling Finn
Samoa
Balor.
Joe.
Oh my God, what a horrible circumstance. That's the thing that always gets me from these armchair quarterbacks and other people that are just living in the digital ether. It's just like, why the hell would this guy ever make a choice to go on the Indies? There's no. I'm sorry. Oh, I want to wrestle a hair match in Mexico. You think that's enough for somebody to turn down $1 million a year? Give me a break. He can go do that when he's old and broken down.
he could do it with the WWE if he sticks around long enough. If they go to Mexico and just make the match. Why not? Just do
Boom.
it.
He's got it. It's just like there are so many world-class competitors, meaning people that Daniel Bryan would have wrestled before he came to WWE, that he maybe did wrestle before he went to WWE, who are in WWE now. And not only that, but like we live in an era where it's just like, yeah, I get it. Back in the day when Daniel Bryan first started on NXT in 2010, which I should have known, like they were doing matches with him that would have been like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. But they'll give somebody like him and AJ Styles, they'll give them 25 minutes on a pay-per-view. They have so much damn time to fill at this point that they're going to get that time. Yeah, they're not going to be able to do unprotected hair shots, and they're not going to be able to do crazy
Headshots.
When I say hair shots,
Hair shots.
but that too.
That's Bianca Belair who does hair shots.
But the thing is, like, there's all these things I know that you can do in the indies that you can't do. There's a level of interaction that they're not going to allow because this is like a mainstream worldwide television program. I get that, but to think like that he's like that the chance to wrestle it all in is going to entice him to give up a multi-million-dollar contract opportunity with the WWE, who is going to give him limited dates, who's going to give him a contract that pays him well, that keeps him on TV, that keeps his family fed, that takes care of everybody. It's just like that's such foolish thinking to think he would give it up.
And probably when his career finally does end, probably keep him on the payroll.
Totally.
He'd be an
he's got a job
amazing
for life
trainer
with them because of what happened. Of course.
Not
only
an
that,
amazing
like,
trainer.
That dude has probably inspired so many people who are his size to actually give it a go. Like a lot of these dudes in WWE.
I have a hard time believing that Daniel Bryan won't be a producer or a trainer after he's actually ready to retire. Because before he was forced to retire and couldn't do those things because he couldn't take bumps.
I
you
mean,
know?
where the performance center is, like, he could definitely have some weird outdoor toilet around that area, like, and enough property
his
to
compost toilet.
Hey, he could have a whole compound of weird hippie crap, and you know what? Like, the climate of Florida would allow stuff to grow there too.
And
I think he'd be into it.
I'm just curious as to who they want him to wrestle. Like, who do fans on the indies like?
Like Kenny Omega,
So like
people that he's at. I mean, like has he wrestled the Bucks before? I feel like he has to have.
Yes, I'm sure he has, but it would have been so long ago. It would have been 2000, at least 2010.
But to Eli's point, a lot of these guys that are like on the dream match list either are in the WWE now or will be in the very future.
I mean, there is a very healthy independent scene right now as well.
Yes,
but I mean, even though the WWE is rapidly trying to sign as many of them
I
as
think
possible.
if you were like, oh, what are your Daniel Bryan indie dream matches? You're not going to have more than like this many.
It's
you
true.
know? Like,
it's true. And I think you'll have way more in WWE right now, especially with the amount of people they've signed.
You do. And you know what? You also have a quality ring to wrestle in. You know what? You also have pads on the outside, protection from the fans, protection from anything that might possibly happen, doctors backstage, things of that nature that are actually important to somebody who's
an audience
had, like,
that isn't just in North or South or West America. Like it's worldwide.
Yeah.
It literally is worldwide.
Also, an audience that scales from young children to elderly people, and not just one demographic that's going to fill up like
the indies.
Legion
I mean,
Hall
like as
or
much as
Well,
we
you
something
guys
like that.
are. While I agree with you, I feel like you are giving backhanded distance to the indies as well.
I'm not trying to.
As we've seen, it's Bingo Hall, Legion Hall,
but the indies is a place to come up and thrive.
Absolutely.
But Daniel Bryan has already lived the indie scene. He doesn't need
a long time.
And I'm just saying, all I'm saying is there are 1,000-person indie crowds. There are bigger indie crowds.
Of course,
agree.
and they happen,
Obvious.
but those are flash. I mean, like
no, there are more than like in Europe and stuff. There are. I mean, they're doing Wembley Stadium progress.
How many?
So the indie wrestling does have big events.
Of
but
course.
I agree wholeheartedly with you. I'm just saying when you guys keep mentioning like the small nature of indie. I mean, indie wrestling is
I'm not trying to
clearly
make
on
it
the
seem
rise.
small, but it's very difficult to become a millionaire
Agreed.
on the indie scene.
100% agree.
And it's very rare that you see somebody who has main evented WrestleMania give up a WWE contract to go back to the indies.
Agreed.
That's exactly what I was going for.
100% agree with you guys on that front. You mentioned earlier in this conversation, Jamie, you mentioned the slow burn that's been happening with Daniel Bryan, where we haven't really got like full force Daniel Bryan push. It's felt like he's been coming back, he's been doing this thing. We haven't gotten the full push on Daniel Bryan versus Miz. That
I mean, I can't remember the last time he won a match.
I think though they've been waiting.
I'm serious.
I think they've been. Well, no, he won on SmackDown this week
Was that a win?
against Andrade 2 weeks in a row.
Was that a win? I thought the match just got they interrupted.
No,
the match.
he won both weeks in a row. He won clean, actually. I think both weeks in a row.
Well, then never
But
I'm wrong.
I only know now that I do these recaps. I'm getting better on like what happens every week because I'm not looking at my phone as much during the show because I have to talk about it.
Yeah.
but
It's called being a professional.
I'm getting better at it. What can I say? Well, now I have to actually have opinions on the show, But what I was going to say is I have a feeling that they are, Jamie, that they are doing that was being done because they didn't know if he was re-signing. And I think that now that he's re-signed, I have a feeling they're going to go full force with it.
All right.
Because I feel like it writes itself to have Daniel Bryan win the Royal Rumble this year and have him go on to WrestleMania against whoever the champion, hopefully Miz.
Can you imagine if he got close and didn't win it? Just like the upheaval that would take place in the crowd. I almost would want to see it, to be honest with you.
Me too. Okay, moving topics here. We got a few of them. Let's see. Which one should we do here? Let's do... I want to get your guys' opinion on this story. It's kind of a fun one.
Certainly.
So a survey went out this week that it kind of gives a little bit of insight into possible future plans for WWE Network programming.
I saw this.
I always like these. I'm aware that these half the time never actually happen.
Yeah.
But I do know for a fact that some of these are actually things that are in talks, that they are in development.
And just the concepts of some of the shows that they pitch are just fun enough to read.
Yeah.
They are. They really are. The one that I thought seems like a no-brainer is the House Hardy Halloween special.
Yeah.
It says, go inside the... actually, I didn't set this up enough, but basically this survey went out, and it just gauges your reaction on things, and it mentions different shows. Most of them are actually, like I said, most of them are actually happening, but the description for House Hardy said, House Hardy Halloween special. Go inside the wonderful world of the Hardy family in this delightful short-form scripted comedy featuring Matt and Jeff Hardy. Now, we recently talked about this, how Matt is at a stage in his career where he's trying to figure out what's going to happen in the future. I believe he's not cleared to wrestle right now, and that he's kind of figured that he's rehabbing things, waiting to see what's going to happen. This to me seems like a no-brainer because like why wouldn't you want to utilize him, especially for a Halloween special? You know, you would think it would go hand in hand with the woke and Hardy stuff, and you already had one on Raw that was fun. You know, why wouldn't you do something? Make some kind of use out of it.
That's like a perfect use of the network when it comes down. It's like, hey, if you don't want to put this on TV, I actually understand that to some extent because they're married to their television program the way they've been doing it. But the network is a place to do obscurities, to put stuff like Table for Three, which, by the way, is getting really old. But
I stopped watching it a while ago.
It's so funny how out of all the dope shows that they had that they got rid of, that's the one that stayed around.
Table 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You know what's bothersome to me is that the network is... A lot of the original programming has just become the least effort programming lately.
Like my buddy works... Like I have a friend that works from home, and I pay him a little extra cash to come and like walk my dog occasionally and stuff when I'm at home.
Yeah.
And... I leave the net. You're gonna laugh, but I leave the network because my dog likes ambient noise around. Like he freaks out when it's quiet. And the WWE Network is the only like streaming service that I know that doesn't have the feature that "Are you still watching?"
Yeah,
and then it shuts off. So I just leave it on because it doesn't shut off.
Oh, because you don't have cable, huh?
No, I don't. So my buddy has been. It's crazy this past year, where he has had no experience in wrestling whatsoever, and now he's got a pretty average hold on it, which I'm impressed with. But he's like, Jamie, why do you like the network so much? It's literally wrestlers eating dinner the entire time. And I was like, it's really on all the time. It's and there were great shows. I mean, say what you will about him personally or what. Like, I never had any issues with JBL. I loved Legends with JBL.
I thought that show was great.
I loved that show.
Me too.
I don't know if I can understand if they don't bring back something else to wrestle with on.
I can see that too.
I can see why they wouldn't. I mean, they.
It also was kind of redundant to listen to the show and watch the show. Like it was like the same. There was nothing different between the two.
I could have used more clips.
They did towards the end. They did a lot more.
But I just.
The first episode was no clips.
Hey, why hasn't there been another Legends house?
It was the first show that they even filmed
that they had in. Yeah, it was just in the can.
Just in the can.
They just had it. Network. They just had it.
Like I remember I did a story on it at TMZ, and then 2 years later the show finally came out.
Yeah, like I remember, I'm friends with Ashley Roberts, the girl that hosted that originally, and she was like, "Holy shit, that came out!"
God, that scene where Patterson pantses the Fink is one of my favorite WWE things that's ever happened before.
Going back to this topic with the House of Hardy, it goes to what I was just saying. I think me and along with the rest of the Woken Warriors out there, we are fiending for more brokenness, and we barely got any. I mean, we got one. No, we got two. Kind of. We got 1 to 2 animal encounters, if that.
I like how you said that while rolling your eyes. Anyone outside of wrestling or heard that, saw you say that would be so confused. Like, we got 2 animal encounters, if that.
And the goldfish one, it's like, okay, they did that.
You want a safari? No, I'm talking about my favorite wrestlers' vignettes.
Yes, no. And I'm sorry, but him playing chess with a goldfish, while funny for the first one, should have led to more.
Yes.
And they did one more with George Washington, the giraffe again, but like...
It's just Vince, man. Like, it's just Vince wants things that Vince thinks is funny, you know? Yeah. And it's like, he clearly just doesn't get this. And he's...
If Skarsgård...
What 70-year-old is going to be in touch with what the young people want? Like...
if Stradivari was just this piece of poo that Matt talked to, I bet it would be on the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely true. All right, so another one is... Fashion Police having their own version of Unsolved Mysteries. And it says, Tyler Breeze and Fandango attempt to crack the case of numerous unsolved mysteries that have eluded the WWE universe over the years. Now,
yes, also good.
These are what
also
I want to
good
see on the network. WWE, if you're listening, these are the shows I want to see
on
WWE
you could
Network.
just reply to the email.
I didn't have the survey sent.
The beauty of it is like all of these program ideas. Well, this program idea in specific is great because it helps promote the 2 wrestlers who are going to be on actual TV and everything like that too, not just on the network but on broadcast TV, meaning that you can give them publicity, you can give them more airtime, you can get their characters out there, they can build their characters more with that airtime. Not only that, this goes back to what we were saying, and we've talked about this before recently, I think, about that YouTube show that Josh Matthews and the Road Dogg had with Puppet H, where it was like they would kind of talk about stuff, and it's like, hey, wrestling is so ripe for like making fun of by wrestlers. Like it's the same way that I always tell this story about like the story of the opening of Disneyland, how like people's feet were sinking in the asphalt, and that's like a disaster at the time. But 60 years later, that's a beloved fact. It's the same thing with like the gobbledygooker. Like that's the stupidest thing ever that they did, and yet it's a beloved joke now in the wrestling community.
Shockmaster.
The Shockmaster, and the thing is, like with all of these storylines that went nowhere, and there's so many of them.
Shockmaster is a Comic-Con exclusive action figure. That's insane.
That's amazing. But the thing is, like, there's a place for these things, and that show is a place to highlight those, to give these two pro wrestlers time in the spotlight and everything like that, and just have fun with the overall business of pro wrestling.
I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that for all the talent that aren't being featured prominently on the roster. It's just more of an opportunity for your talent to get over.
Well, it's like if you look at Being the Elite. You look at Being the Elite, for example. Being the Elite is one of the most popular wrestling shows right now, bar none, that wrestling fans watch, especially like the younger wrestling crowd, because they like YouTube and stuff, and it has no wrestling on it. You know, so it's the same thing with like Southpaw Regional Wrestling. Southpaw Regional Wrestling had no wrestling on it. It was a great way to utilize some of your talent in a different way. But for me, this Fashion Police thing or this House Hardy thing, it's more character driven, and that's what I want to see. Like I honestly think that you could do this. It would cost barely any money. They're sitting around anyways. Well, Fandango's injured right now, but they're sitting around anyway, backstage for the most part, or even they could film these remotely or whatever.
I'm just thinking that
it's just a way to get your talent over.
Yeah, and I can imagine. I mean, knowing now how much Rebby films and edits and does stuff on her own, she probably has so much footage in the can for the first few seasons and alone.
In terms of like the Unsolved Mysteries thing,
that's a great idea.
It would be let's take a look at the actual Unsolved Mysteries. It always started out with Robert Stack walking out on a misty street under like a street light or something like that. That was the way every single episode started. The reason I'm mentioning that is because that's how every episode of this could start. Meaning that's cheap. Film a bunch of intros to these things. You don't need 10 episodes, film a bunch of intros. Every other scene that has to include them is either voiceover or them in front of a green screen or just right there.
Or even better, to latch onto that is to do the recreations, like the dramatic recreations where it's someone dressed up as the wrestler they're of this mystery they're trying to solve, and it would be famous things that happen in WWE. Like they had that board behind them when they used to do the Fashion Police or the Fashion Files. They could be those kinds of things, and then they had to solve.
There's no reason why. You guys know I have an affinity for the Edge and Christian show that was on the WWE Network, and one of the reasons I liked it was because of the cameos that popped up. Virgil cameoed on it. Brutus the Barber Beefcake cameoed on it. You could have these cameos show up. These guys will work for half a sandwich and a bowl of soup, for Christ's sake. Like, put them on the show. Like, all these, like, storylines that they want... I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean to, like, demean any of these people, actually, either. But, like, the thing is that, Virgil will show up for a bowl of pasta. Like, I mean, it's common sense.
He was supposed to be an All-In Weekend, and then he wasn't there at all.
Well, how is probably the most viral wrestler on the internet not at All In? That doesn't make sense.
I was confused by that too. I thought for sure I had heard he was going to be there. I was very confused by that.
They're like, "Is it all you can eat?" And they're like, "No." And he's like, "Then I won't be there." It's like,
all out.
Is it never? I'm all out, and I'm all in on a never-ending pasta bowl.
Okay, this one sound kind of boring to me. Cheat Day with Becky Lynch. WWE superstars work hard and train harder. See what they do on their cheat day.
Wait, so cheat day? So it's their Instagram.
As Becky Lynch and Charlotte indulge in one of Becky's favorite breakfast eateries. Well, it's kind of like that Renee Young show that she was doing. I don't know if I liked that show as much.
What, Unfiltered?
Yeah, I didn't like Unfiltered.
She went and ate places Unfiltered?
She went to like there was a lot of times they were like a coffee spot.
But it was an interview show.
Yeah, but they would like go to like a place where the wrestler liked, if I recall.
And, I watched almost all the Unfiltereds, and it was mostly. I mean, the focus wasn't on where they were.
The focus wasn't the focus of the show. No, I know that.
I'm not interested in another take on Table for Three, but what I would be interested in is like, well,
let's see, really like their wrestlers eating food.
Well, let's see. Let's see a normal day of what their calorie count is, and then let's see how many calories they eat on their cheat day or something like that.
That sounds really boring.
No, well, it would.
I'm tired of the fucking food on the network.
I don't need any more food eaten on the network, to be completely honest with you. We're vetoing any idea.
Hey, we should do a show called Shots, and it's what wrestler can take the most shots.
I'll watch that show.
I would watch that.
Yeah,
it'd be funny. I'd watch
because it would be astronomical levels in some cases.
See how many shots it takes them to not be able to do a good promo.
Like, can you imagine how many shots it would take to put Michael Hayes down?
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
I don't know. There's part of me that feels like that guy probably takes a shot and he's just like, "Wow, let's
Every
crash the
time I hear
plane."
dude, I always think of Andy that read it. So somebody make a mashup of that somehow.
All right, so this is another one that I thought sounded really cool. This was Xavier's arcade challenge, where Xavier Wood takes his love of retro gaming to the finest bar arcades in the country and challenges the WWE Universe in one-on-one competition.
That's funny because that's the original. That's what Up Up Down Down was supposed to be.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because I remember I was watching on Table for Three. The most recent one, which was the viral episode, which was,
I did want to watch that one.
It's a good one. It's fun because I recommend it because you find out a lot of stuff about the
True Long Island.
Yeah, the Zack Ryder thing.
The Zack Ryder. Yeah.
Yeah, but you find, I mean, there's some interesting facts about that you didn't know. Like that were, I mean, it's just really interesting. I mean, the Matt Hardy facts weren't as interesting, not because it's not an interesting story, but we know it. You know, that like what, because he's been so vocal about it.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, just the production of how the inception of the show, the Zack Ryder one, and even the Up Up Down Down of how many times like Xavier Woods was met with like a no, or you have to use the talent name, and like, because you know he doesn't use the talent names, and it's just really interesting because I think that's what just him touring barcades, that was what he wanted originally. And they said no. They didn't want him to do it. I think that was before the network.
That's funny because, you know, I feel like I would personally watch this more than I watch. I don't really. I can't. For the life of me, I can't get into watching other people play video games. I just can't do it.
I'm also curious as to, because that's on YouTube.
Yeah.
How are they going to get away with it? Like getting the rights to these games on a network.
You don't have to give the rights to.
You have to. I think you do to show
to shoot someone playing a video game.
To show because why would you want to watch that? You have to have the footage on the screen. Why would you want to watch two people with their backs to you playing a video game? You need the footage.
This is why I think watching people play video games is stupid.
Well, the reason why the YouTube culture and Twitch is so easy to do is because there's no profit in it. They don't make any money off of the streaming the games. They make money through like sponsors that they promote.
Yeah.
But like nobody's paying them to play the video game. You know what I'm saying? And so they're not.
You know, now that you mentioned all this,
if you watch any play watch through or like people playing, it's always the game, and they're a very small box.
Yeah, no, that I've seen. Now that you've talked to me about this and we've talked this one out, I think I'm vetoing this one. I don't think I like this one anymore. I don't think I like it anymore. I don't want to watch someone's back. You're right.
I don't think they would be filming their backs. I think they'd have cameras on the machine.
Well, they would need
also kind of boring.
They would need the footage of the games, and I don't know logistically how they could do that, because in order for the barcade thing to work, they would have to just go in there. In order for them to do this right, they would have to go in beforehand, look at every single game, and make sure that they can clear all of them, including the ones that aren't. And this is even trickier. There are like the Simpsons one, that company, like the Konami. I don't think Konami exists anymore.
Yeah,
you know,
do they not exist anymore?
I think they got absolved into Rare.
Yeah,
interesting.
I don't know exactly.
I don't know, but like there's all these older arcade games that they don't have the rights to. So that
if they had access to a time machine and could go back to arcades and arcade heydays when people actually were like angry with each other. The only reason
Up and Down Down works is because it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right, moving topics here a little bit. So we're getting short on time here.
We had a whole tangent beginning about Back to the Future.
Yeah, well, it was an important part of the discussion, I thought.
Precisely.
Well, here, I'll let you guys pick then. What do you just so you guys have a say here?
Mm-hmm. There was a bug. I slapped myself on the back.
I'm actually just picking this one, and I want to talk about Heath Slater saying that he's hoping for a future opportunity. You know, Heath Slater, has been around. I didn't even realize how long he has been in WWE. He's been signed to WWE since 2007. He was 22 years old.
2006, I think it was.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
At FCW.
Yeah, he's been back since the FCW.
He was in
Deep South.
Oh, wow.
What was his name again?
I can tell you if I pull it up, but
his FCW name.
It was Heath Miller. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
So, anyways, Heath posted. He posted an He posted an Instagram post this week and kind of reflecting on his career, where he said, I got signed with WWE when I was 22 years old. I've been through Deep South, Florida Championship Wrestling, and the foundation of NXT. I've been in faction after faction and tag team after tag team. None of them actually went the way I hoped. Just hope that one day before this is all over that I can do things my way. And as a grizzled young vet in this business, I hope that it comes sooner than later. Now, this resonated with me because he really has been in so many tag teams, so many factions. I mean, he was in Nexus, Core, 3MB, Slater Gator. Now he's got the thing with Rhino. He's never really had a singles opportunity on the main roster since he's been there. I mean, he had that one time when he wrestled Seth Rollins, right? It was Seth Rollins that he wrestled for and
then he won.
And he won. And then they didn't really even do anything.
And then there was that whole thing where he would have a singles match every night, but just get squashed by a legend.
There was that as well. But the things that we've just mentioned right there, I feel like those were all memorable things. Like, we remember Heath Slater.
Heath Slater has had a memorable career.
Yeah, and he's knocked it out of the park every time that he's given the opportunity.
The problem is that, and he's fallen into this routine, and this happens in WWE to a lot of people. What's a great Heath Slater match?
Totally. The one I can think of is the one I just said.
Yeah, that's
Seth Rollins.
It's just like the problem is that he hasn't been in a position where he could be visually seen having a Dynamite match. I don't really know what moves he does. I don't really know.
Could you tell me his finisher? Probably
no,
not.
I actually can't. And be honest with you, I couldn't tell you any other moves that he does because he doesn't really get a lot of moves, and that are not defensive moves or that's not kind of more of a job or quality.
Or just getting beat up before he hot tags Rhino.
He's kind of been almost on like an Ellsworth level in most of these situations that he's been in, where it's just like, well, he's there to get beat.
Well, we were talking about this in the Raw recap a few weeks ago when we were talking about B Team, and it was something that I've noticed while watching them was that with B-Team, because for so long we've seen them not get any offense in, that it's almost weird to watch them get offense in when they're allowed. And it almost feels like they themselves, it's different for them because for so long their job has been to help get others over and not themselves. And so it's almost like you can tell they're like not used to it.
I mean, it's the Kurt Hawkins Dolph Ziggler match. They're like, holy shit, Kurt Hawkins can work. They're like, oh my god, and
well, that's my case. That's my thing. That we know that Heath Slater. We know there's that one Seth Rollins match. If given the opportunity, I do think that Heath Slater could.
Well, I just think the biggest thing that's holding Heath back, and it's just the luck of the draw. It is not a knock on Heath whatsoever. I think Heath is an incredible talent, and his longevity is, close to him and R-Truth. I don't know who else has been on the roster as long as him. But it's his look. It's not a very intimidating look. Yeah. It's just not, and it's that fact that after so many years, Vince has a million things to worry about. When you become that guy and that's the role you play, that's just what you do. Yeah. When you're running the show out.
It's easy to rely on him for that specifically.
Yes. And
it's like that's what he goes to it for. Not to reference one of my favorite wrestlers out of spite for Ryan, but Tito Santana was not winning matches for the last 8 years he was on the WWE roster. He was there to put other people over. Somebody like Heath Slater, and this is no different than his former 3MB tag team partner,
Jinder?
No.
Drew?
Sorry, I was slipping it. He had to go away. He had to go away and disappear. And that's the same thing that really probably needs to happen with Heath Slater, because you don't look at Heath Slater and think anything but he's getting thrown out of the Rumble real fast.
You didn't think anything, and the same with Jinder at the time. When Jinder got fired, it was the same way. You looked at him, he had to go and he had to get buff. To be fair, they rehired him when he wasn't that buff, so I guess I shouldn't say that. But still, the change in look did help. I think you guys are 100% on the money there. I think that he does need a change in look.
And not only that, but Triple H's recently had an interview about people going back to NXT, and it's just that might be good for Heath Slater to go out of there, get out of the mainstream TV limelight, go someplace where fans will appreciate you as a wrestler specifically.
I'm the one who asked him that question, Triple H.
Were you?
Yeah, that was during one of the conference calls.
Nice.
Because I used to love when people did that. When Tyson Kidd went back,
I didn't hear
sure.
it. What was his answer?
It was just something along the lines of like it was that he would love if people could if that was something they could still do, if they could have people shuffled in every once in a while, but at the same time they have so many people there right now.
Back in the day,
that it's kind of not the same as it used to be.
Back in the day, they used like people from WWE. Like let's take Al Snow went to ECW for a refresher. That did wonders for Al Snow's career.
Stone Cold going to ECW.
Yeah,
for like a month.
But but he got that pro
for a cup of coffee or a cold beer.
But he even talks about how like going there and getting
back when I went up there to ECW.
But even he talks about how getting an opportunity to just kind of shoot on the mic a little bit did help him kind of form. Change himself a little bit.
Like Heath Slater's got a great story in going back to NXT because people would discount him immediately, and all these NXT upstarts would think that they could just take him. But what if Heath Slater started showing that he actually does have?
And hey, this whole I got kids thing. What if it was taken seriously? What if he does live in a trailer? And like, what if he really did need the money?
Yeah.
Like, what if it wasn't a joke?
What if it was desperation and it wasn't a joke desperation? It was like, I'm going to kill you desperation.
I would love if they changed the desperation from joke to
Yeah,
serious
it's like
and send him to NXT. And he's just going up against all the indie guys, Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, and he's just
it's
tearing
like
it
either
up.
I put my foot in your ass or my kids don't eat tonight. So
yeah, what if it was something, what if Vince McMahon went up to him and was just like,
ruthless.
unless you win, your kids are not eating. Similar to like whenever he told Ric Flair the next time you lose, like you're retired and everything like that. That was a great.
Like, what if he does get fired? Like, next time you lose, you get fired.
Yeah.
That'd be a great angle.
And your kids won't be able to eat.
How cool is it that Velveteen Dream is doing
Or
an indie
as
show,
Brock
an Evolve show?
Or as Brock Lesnar would say, I don't give a shit about your kids.
Since we're talking about people going to other countries, other companies, I think it's so cool that Velveteen Dream is going to be wrestling in Evolve.
Yeah, it's
That's
a nice
like,
homecoming.
Yeah, it's so random. Well, he was never in Evolve, but homecoming to like that was the place where he, where the arena that it's in is where he wrestled a lot. But still, I it's the other people they've lended out from NXT. From what I recall, largely been people who were already indie guys, like guys who were already famous on the indie scene prior.
Well, then they sent Hideo Itami to Japan for.
But where he was famous before, Noah, I mean, that was where he made his name. I find it interesting that they're letting one of their kind of like, largely for the most part, homegrown talents do that. It's pretty cool
because I think
very often.
I think the whole us against them thing has really started to calm down because they just
you're crazy. It's ramping up.
You think so?
Fuck yeah, dude. That's why they're signing Riddle and Keith Lee. I mean, even that Matt Riddle thing, his wife in that now deleted interview, that video she posted on YouTube, she literally said that Matt Riddle got an offer from New Japan. And out of respect, he called Gabe Sapolsky at Evolve because that's who he had a contract with and said, hey, I just got an offer from New Japan. And like an hour later, Triple H called him saying they wanted to sign him. So, I mean, that is...
No, I do see that in terms of their talent, but I don't think that it's nearly as worried about that they're going to beat them in some sort of ticket sales or ratings anymore. They're not. And the fact of the matter is, if you want to talk about who's going to make more money, it's always going to be WWE. No matter how many Sears Centers you sell out.
Well, in NXT, you don't make as much as you make on the main roster. You do
but
go back and...
Not yet, but you're on the way.
You're on the way, but, I mean, arguably, in terms of pay... You might be making the same as what you could be making, maybe even a little bit less than what you would make in New Japan or being on your own.
Like, but he should not need to, but say somehow Kenny Omega gets signed, which not anytime soon. He probably wouldn't have to go to NXT, but say he did. Yes, for a period of time, he would have to take a pay cut because that's just what it is. But at the same time... you could say a lot of that goes towards the biggest, like, training, the best. I mean, I've seen it. Like, I've been there. I've used it. That training facility is incredible. And it's only gotten better since I've been there. And so you get access to that. You get access to people helping you throughout your entire career.
Oh, no, I'm not arguing the merits of it. I'm just saying from a strictly financial standpoint, if you're looking at dollars and cents here, you look at it and you're like, well, I might be making a little bit less.
Of course. Like people like Kenny, Cody, the Bucks, to an extent, Adam Page, and even Marty. Like if they ever did get signed, they probably wouldn't make match to match what they're making right now. But it's about investing.
Yeah,
it's all about investing. Whereas Marty doesn't have a family, so he can invest in his career. Whereas the Bucks, they both have families. they don't have the financial stability, especially with kids and families, to take that cut and go to Florida, hone your craft, your TV craft, so you can play the hard cam always, which so many people don't know how to do. And so then when you finally do get called up, your family, when you do have that family, you're going to have that security.
Of course.
Which, the Bucks don't need it now.
No.
But if anybody else gets called up, yes, you will have to take a pay cut for that period of time, and it might financially suck for that period of time, but you're making an investment into a whole larger world.
Totally.
And so I think that there is a draw to that, 100%.
Oh, 100%.
And going back to what I was saying about WWE not being, I don't think they're worried about people are going to beat them out in terms of finances, because they just won't. I'm sorry, they just got $1 billion from Fox, and so I just think that I think
I don't think WWE is worried about it, but I think Triple H is.
I don't maybe
Triple H has that competitive thing that Vince uses. Vince doesn't have any competition anymore.
Yeah,
Triple H
that's what I'm saying. As I think the reason why letting the New Day go work with Kenny Omega and the Bucks for the E3 thing, the Evolve thing, the Hideo going to Japan thing, I think they're just really, really, really starting to let them go. I mean, of course, if it was like all in, that'd be different.
Yeah,
but I just think that there are the guard of them letting their talent go do other things, like to make right by some promoter or where they came up. I think I think they're not as resistant towards it.
I think it's more because Triple H wants to be the new NWA. He wants WWE to be the NWA once Vince leaves.
I think there's somebody behind the scenes that just like love The Simpsons and love the way they be like yoink, just like, oh, you want to sign him? Yoink.
Okay, lastly, I want to talk just real quick. This story, I more want to talk about it because I wanted to spread the word in case you're listening and you're one of those idiots. But this whole Nike boycott thing is so silly to me. These people that are cutting their socks and the logos off their pants and all that kind of stuff, their shorts or whatever.
O'Shea Jackson in NWA movies said it best. They could do whatever the fuck they want with it. They bought the damn things. That's what it is.
Nah,
you paid the money.
A lot of these people too are the ones who are like, why are we helping refugees? We should be helping the soldiers and the veterans. It's like, are you going to give them your Nike clothes?
No, you're just going to burn them.
You're just going to burn those things? Because I'm sure there's some homeless.
Let me tell you, the
reason I brought this up, just so I would like to hear that, but I want to explain why I brought this up and how this relates to wrestling. Titus O'Neil, he is attempting to make make a positive out of this whole situation.
The dude immediately responded with this,
and I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was a very smart move. He said, "Dear boycott Nike folks, instead of burning or trashing, send whatever Nike gear you no longer want to me at this address. It's 2101 North Florida Avenue in Tampa, Florida 33602, and I will partner with Metro Ministries, HCSO Sheriff, Tampa PD, and other agencies to distribute them to those in need. Thanks." I like how positive Titus always is, and I like that he was able to, instead of reacting negatively to all of it, he was able to hey, let's make a positive out of this.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a hard time believing that anyone who is actually burning their clothes or trashing it will take the time to actually do that.
Mail it? No.
I love that there's people that are like, let me cut the Nike symbols off my socks. Like, you ruined your socks.
Yeah, they're not going to stay up on your ankles.
Hey, you're gonna try to put those on next time, and you're going to tear those socks apart. Trust me, I try to put socks on with holes in them all the time.
At the end of the day, after all this boycotting, you're out of a pair of shoes, and they still have your money.
I'm a Reebok man.
You have one less pair of shoes, and Nike has 60 more of your dollars.
This is very true. All right, Jamie, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at JAMIE_IOVINE or on Instagram at JAMIEIOVINE, and make sure to follow up because we are launching in a few weeks. Hooray, hooray.
Nice.
I'm not going to give an exact date because I don't want to be held by accountable in case we don't meet that. But in a few weeks, the shopping network is launching. So go to Network Live. We got rid of the older Instagram handle. It's NTWRK Live. I'm going to double check that while Eli's doing his.
I was going to say, shit, I hope I followed the right one the other day.
The original one I posted from back in the day is not the one anymore. So it's just all one word, Network Live, NTWRK Live, and we're going to be posting updates fairly soon. So if you want to be on the first to see what this is all about, please follow. And that's pretty much it for me.
And Elijah, where can people find you at?
Elijah, wow, you used the full name.
I did.
You can find me on Twitter at Elijah Bates, or you can find me on Instagram at Brindlebeard. And again, I just want to apologize to everybody for blowing that Daniel Bryan fact about 2010.
I'm mad about it.
You're kicked off the show.
I'm ashamed of myself.
You can find me. I'm at Ryan Satin on all social media. The website, ProWrestlingSheet.com. It's at Wrestling Sheet. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, our YouTube channel is youtube.com/c/Wrestling Sheet. You can find all of the different videos that we update throughout the week on there. The recaps that myself and John Roca have been doing. Other random news videos. I did a list on Neville this last week. So make sure you guys go subscribe there. If you're watching, if you're watching via YouTube, go check out our audio feed. It's on Podcast One, iTunes, all that kind of fun stuff. And so if you're not able to watch when they get put up, you can listen while you're driving. It's Wrestling Sheet Radio. It's we got the recaps like I was talking about. We've got Top 5 with James McKenna and Kevin Silva. And we got a new show that is going to be debuting this weekend called Best of the Rest, which will be about, all the stuff that I'm unable to cover on all of these shows. So, I think they're going to be talking about the Mae Young Classic, Lucha Underground. I think they're going to have a little bit of all-in talk. There'll be, Ring of Honor, Impact, all that stuff. The stuff that I don't always have time to cover via these shows. It's going to be hosted by Aaron Turner and Rachel Evans. So keep your guys' ears out for that one in the Wrestling Sheet radio feed.
All right.
Okay, that's it. We're done. Officially tapping out. Until next time, stay out of the dirt and keep your eye on the sheet.